833-REDDY. More Haunted Houses, Dolores Riccio. True Tales of the Unknown, featuring Dr. Stephen Kaplan. See you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.
This is Chicago's Midday News.
Good afternoon, I'm Steve Sanders. Coming up in the Midday News, there is a compromise civil rights bill in the works, and it's one President Bush is saying that he can live with. We'll have a live report. Chicago drenched overnight with the usual flooding and traffic problems with it. A major trade for the Chicago Blackhawks, and the Atlanta Braves are now in the driver's seat in the World Series. Those stories just ahead in the Midday News. Right now, Tom Skilling to tell us if we have seen the last of these torrential downpours.
Boy, I wish I could tell you we had, Steve. It looks like a wet weekend coming up. We have several more rounds of heavy rain, though at least today they'll be south of us. They'll probably spread back in tonight and tomorrow. That plus the full forecast. But here's Steve now with the news.
Thank you, Tom. After an extraordinary debate, an agreement on the new civil rights bill has been reached, and President Bush says he's pleased with the outcome. For more on this now, we go to Skip Loescher, who is standing by live on Capitol Hill with all the latest. Skip?
The president calls the compromise civil rights bill worked out last night between the White House and the Senate leadership a proud accomplishment. He says it does not resort to quotas, but restores equality to the workplace.
I mean, it's positive. It's very positive.
The president says he is pleased that he may soon have a civil rights bill to sign, one which the White House claims will no longer force employers to employ race or sex-based hiring quotas.
I wouldn't say that he was running for cover.
Senator John Danforth, the bill's chief Republican sponsor, says he still regrets that the measure caps damages for sex-based discrimination. Senator Ted Kennedy is the bill's chief Democratic sponsor.
This is the next great milestone towards achieving equal justice in our society and removing race and sex discrimination from the workplace.
But Kennedy says he will work to remove the cap on damages for sex-based discrimination.
We do not give parity for women in this country that we give to others. I think that's deplorable.
The president says he's always wanted to sign a civil rights bill, and he thinks the compromise is fair.
And assuming there are no changes in the bill as agreed to last night, we now have such a bill. And my promise will be kept, and I will enthusiastically sign this bill.
But Mr. Bush denies that he caved in to growing pressure from the Senate.
We didn't cave. We worked out in a spirit of compromise, a negotiated settlement where I can say to the American people, this is not a quota bill. There was give and take on a lot of issues, and you're just putting a political spin on it that is 100% wrong.
But the fact is, even Republican Senator John Danforth had predicted that there may have been enough votes to override a presidential veto if Mr. Bush had not compromised. Live in Washington, I'm Skip Loescher.
And shifting gears now to a big sports story in the local news today. The Chicago Blackhawks announcing a major deal today, sending popular left-winger Steve Thomas and center Adam Creighton to the New York Islanders for forwards Brent Sutter and Brad Lauer. The Hawks have not won in the last 4 games, and general manager and coach Mike Keenan says it was time for a change.
But obviously we're not near the level that we will have to be in order to compete for the Stanley Cup, and that's the goal of our organization and the goal of all our players is to win the Stanley Cup. And we feel that by acquiring a player of this stature, one of the best players in the league, that we're improving our possibilities.
It's kind of tough to know. You come here for 5 years and you're a part of a team that's gone from a mediocre team that's accepted mediocrity for a long time to a team that was first place overall last year and with 106 points. And it's hard to understand why you'd want to change a team that much. And I was kind of shocked when I heard this morning.
Well, the Hawks' new acquisition, Brent Sutter, was captain of the New York Islanders and is in his 11th season. We'll have more on this blockbuster of a deal later on in sports. Chicago and the surrounding suburbs were drenched overnight by torrential rains that swept through the area. More than an inch of rain fell in the area between midnight and 7 o'clock this morning, causing massive flooding of streets and area expressways. Streets such as this one in Skokie look more like lakes due to the downpour. The flooding reduced traffic to one lane here along the Kennedy Expressway near the Irving Park ramp just before the rush hour began, but within a few hours, most of the water had drained away. Thunderstorms and lightning strikes knocked out power to nearly 10,000 Commonwealth Edison customers in the city and suburbs. But ComEd officials say the power was restored to almost all customers by later in the morning. An 8-month-old girl is dead today following a fire in the CHA Stateway Gardens housing project. The fire occurred last night in a third-floor apartment at 3519 South Federal Street. Killed was 8-month-old Kiara Robertson, who died of burns and smoke inhalation. Investigators say children playing with matches touched off the fire in the bedroom where the baby was sleeping. 2 firefighters were also injured, treated for minor injuries. Jesse Turner is finally headed home after being held hostage in Lebanon for 5 years. With his wife and little girl at his side, Turner left Frankfurt Airport in Germany today, where they caught a flight to Chicago. They're expected to stop here at about 1:45 this afternoon, then head to the family's hometown of Boise, Idaho. Turner had been a professor at Beirut University when he was kidnapped. 8 Westerners, including 4 Americans, remain captive in Lebanon. When the Midday News continues, the latest into the investigation of that deadly fire in suburban Oakland, California, and a look back at the man who took us on bold journeys aboard the Starship Enterprise.
Maybe I can buy you a drink after work.
Sexual harassment is degrading, damaging, and against the law. But what is sexual harassment? How can it be prevented? And what steps should you take to protect yourself? The answers to these and other questions can be found in this timely new video entitled, What You Should Know About Sexual Harassment. Learn about EEOC guidelines, other state and federal laws, and what you should do if you are the accused or the victim of sexual harassment. Your bookstore probably doesn't have anything on sexual harassment, and this $29.95 video could be the smartest investment you'll ever make, because you can't afford to remain in the dark about sexual harassment.
What you should know about sexual harassment is not available in any store. Have your credit card ready and call 1-800-USA-1236 or send $29.95 plus $4.50 shipping and handling to Sexual Harassment, P.O. Box 65736, Salt Lake City, Utah, because you can't afford to remain in the dark about sexual harassment.
When Paul Stephen was born, I didn't have medical insurance, so we have to pay for the delivery. If I didn't have the money to go to a doctor.
Children should come into the world nice and healthy. That's basically why I give to the United Way.
How many times have you heard, it's not in stock, but we can order it? Well, you won't hear that at Tile Outlet. At Tile Outlet, the floor and ceramic tiles on display are warehoused in large quantities, so you'll walk out the door with your purchase. And our everyday prices are as low or lower than other stores' sale prices. For savings, selection, and product availability, come to Tile Outlet, 2444 West Fullerton in Chicago, just 3 blocks west of the Kennedy Expressway.
Darvin Furniture has purchased truckloads of quality grandfather clocks for their 71st anniversary sale. Save up to 60% on all these elegant timepieces from Howard Miller. Save on the lowest prices of the year on these heirloom clocks made of oak and cherry woods. All with famous Westminster chimes and German movements, like this stately oak clock with brass pendulum, regularly $1,250, now only $488. And there's 0% interest and no payments till February. So hurry to Darvin Furniture during their 71st anniversary sale and save.
Arson investigators have begun sifting through the ash-covered hills of Oakland, California, trying to determine just what caused the firestorms that killed 24 people. Workers swarmed over the site of Sunday's fire, which has been ruled suspicious in nature. Neighbors have said the blaze may have been started by construction workers burning debris in the area. Fire officials say damages are estimated in the neighborhood of $5 billion, making the blaze the worst in U.S. history. The number of mysterious church fires that have erupted across the state of Florida jumped to 23 this morning. Since July of last year, all kinds of churches have been